Hey, the 6-volt Von Doom's Lab. Want to make a update video since I'm sure people are thinking kind of what happened to me. I'm sure there's probably crazy theories, but it's pretty mundane answered like always. That's why I kind of got captured by aliens, but pretty much the real thing is I've been sleeping and working on my daughter's computer. So kind of give you kind of what the story what happened is after reverse engineering a lot of the things, I got pretty much all I needed, or three-fourths of what I needed. So I can read the settings, read and write the settings, and or write the LEDs. So I had most of the code in my head. I don't think I've told people how I kind of do a lot of my coding. Actually, I don't do my coding at the computer. Since I'm disabled, I can only do so much. So even sitting at a computer, most of the time I'm on the couch or in bed. So I do a lot of the coding in my head while I'm on the couch in bed. And that's kind of weird. I mean, I'm not doing like every line, but I'm doing the architecture, the variables, where I'm going to set up, how's the data going to flow. And even before I came disabled, I was actually an architect engineer at AMD. So I wasn't designing buildings for AMD. I was actually architecting like designs for AMD. So like high level designs for families of chips and all that. So that was kind of my last job, and I was actually pretty young for that. Usually, I was I was in my early 30s. You don't usually get to that in your early 30s. But anyways, so I do a lot of coding in my head. So I had pretty much all the code done in my head for the RPEG board. So after I got the reverse engineering done, I was like, okay, I should probably just get it out. And that turned out to be like a long night. I was like just doing one thing after another, and it turned into this like Herculean effort all night doing all the code. So actually, I came down here. I mean, showed. So the only thing I had in for the RPG boards was just a simple USB head that read and write the settings and write the LEDs is pretty much the only thing I had. It kind of connected to it with DirectX, and that was kind of it. Read and write the settings and the LEDs. So what else did I have to code? Well, there's kind of a lot actually. It's this whole thing right here is all the stuff I had to code. So I had to finish up the things that talk to the RGB Brooks board. It's kind of called like the library layer. And that's, and I had to put in connecting to the DirectX keyboard because they are different. They're actually different product IDs. So I had to put that code in, so it doesn't matter if it's either one, it will connect to it. So we returned all the settings back, but of course I found out, going back to it, I found out I screwed this up because I put the wrong bytes the right into it. I only write the force 4 settings, not all the settings. So that's why the attract mode and all that wasn't turned off, which I thought it was, but anyways, that's all that was in there. And that's kind of done with, when the game starts and the game ends, there's code in there for that too. So then I had to put in the RPG Brooks light controller. This is, the group file logic, because it is a whole brand new group file, and how it works. The group logic for the players, now, because there's different players which have different LEDs, right? How it connects to the library layer, how they talk to each other, how do they write to the LEDs and all that. And also connection to the Hook Light engine, right? That talks to like the game files and when the game is running. Then connection to the RGB commands, so they work with all the RGB commands. So that was a lot of coding in there. And I had to put new coding in for the follower RGB value. I actually had to do new coding for that because that was brand new. As you remember, I think it was version 134E. I think my last release before 135 was putting in the follower RGB value. So I didn't have that code in my head yet. So that's why I had to put it in new. And that's kind of why it's separated, as I talked about in the video. That's why you only can use it for Ultimark or RPEG, right? Because I didn't have it all figured out yet. Then the next thing was, so that was a huge amount of code. Then coding it into the list. And this is where, going into the list of stuff. So the list of light guns, list of light controllers. That's kind of where I put everything. So everything has access to the list. So then I have to, be able to add and delete it. Then, a lot of connections are at the list layer. So getting all those connections and saving the light controller to the light controller file and reading the data from the light controller file too. So that's kind of a lot of more getting in it. Then also putting the code in for the added to the add light controller window and added it to the edit light controller window, and making sure all the checking is there, making sure you can edit it and delete it, and making sure deleting works too. So that's and sorry, I hate GUI stuff, so that's why I just this is the one thing that I hate doing. So after I got it all into that, I did test it out. It's usually I did all this kind of at night, then the next day I kind of tested it out, and all the things were working. I tested out all the commands, and I can run it multiple times, but I don't use a front end. I don't use Big Box, or I forget what the other one is, and I don't even use the RPEG program. So I was running it, and I was running back and forth, and it was working fine for me. But now I was like, well, now if people use front ends, you see, then also like I talked about with the settings, that's going to get messed up. And also I thought about, it's going to be a problem with maybe changing with the DirectX keyboard. Because right now it's always connected to it, but if it does change, it can be a problem. So, but I didn't, and also when I did, I had the track mode off, which I thought it was turned on, so that's why I thought the settings were working. But I found, that I checked it and wasn't, so I'm like, crap. So that's one thing I had to fix. So that's why I released it the next day. Then after that, I pretty much crashed. And I went to, because, all this work took its toll on my body. And I was just out for days, like a couple of days. I was just sleeping. So, but but like I said, I kind of knew. I saw like some emails from Chris, and I was like, and I thought about it, and I'm like, yeah. So fixing the setting problem would take 2 seconds. I just had to change how many bytes it writes and all that, and then I have to change it for, right now it just connects right away when you open Hook of the Reaper, but I have to change it where it connects only when the game starts. Then when the game ends, it disconnects, kind of like what I do with light guns. This is kind of a lot better. So then it doesn't matter what settings, if it changes DirectX or keyboard or anything, then it just like comes in. Then if people have front ends and run stuff after, then that's after kind of thing. And it doesn't affect me leaving kind of thing. So I think that will fix pretty much all the problems. And also, I just want to warn people, don't use force close with Hook of the Reaper. Because I had this problem with Let Hook Strip, where I found out a lot of people love to use force close because, they're like, it's faster. But the worst thing is like programs close in a specific way. So if you force close it, the program can't close and can't do things. And that's kind of what was happening with Let Hook Strip. It couldn't send the close command to the device saying, hey, Hook of the Reaper is closing and close down. It wasn't doing that because people were force closing it, and people with make drives and all that you have force close because it's faster and it's better. They think it's better, but no, it's because you can have memory leaks doing that. It's like a horrible thing to do. Never do force close unless you absolutely need to. So put that warning out because I know, like I said, I had it with lead hook strip, but I could fix it because I had control of lead hook strip firmware. So I put code in and saying when Hook of the Reaper disconnects, it closed out, and that sign is saved to things. But yeah, I don't have that with this board. I don't control it. I'm actually reversing engineering it, kind of thing. So yeah. So that's kind of like a bad. So I just want to make sure people do not use force close. So if you're using force close in your scripts or your front ends, get rid of it. Or if not, there might be always a problem that I cannot fix because you're using force close, and then it's on you. Go sorry. But okay, sorry, I'm tired. Where am I at? Okay, so force close connections. Yeah, start. So after I started feeling better, I went back to work on my daughter's computer. Actually, she's home for this week. Kinda. She got an internship, which was really good for her first year. So she's kind of working as an intern, but she's home right now because that was her first year. So now she's moving into a house with 5 other girls. But she got the house and they rented it out. And we got all the stuff, and now she's designing her whole room around the computer I built her, which of course really annoys the hell out of my wife. but but she is going into computer engineering. But before she leaves, I was like, oh crap, I gotta get the maintenance done on the computer because it's a water cooled computer. So I had to change the fluids, and also I had to change the graphics cards out, which of course makes hooking because it's a custom loop. Here I actually have some pictures of it because I'm sure I can't talk about a custom computer without like kind of showing it. So this is the computer here. This is the front of it, and this connection to because this is the new graphics. So this connection was easy. I just had to put a little spacer in to lift it up, and I could use the same connection. This connection I had to redo. So actually, in the next picture, you can see I bent the tubing and got a new tubing in to do it. So then this is kind of what it looks like because I'm just flushing it out, trying to get all the old coloring out of it and all that. But I'll put the same coloring in. But she wanted green and like red. But this kind of looks what it looks like with coloring in and all that. But hopefully now you can see why she wants to design the room. And also it's kind of big because it's a custom computer with it and all that. But she loves the computer and all that, and it took a long time to build her, but it's like one of her prides of things. She always shows people when they come over her computer. So that's why I went to work on that before I went to work back on the computer, back on the program, sorry. But sorry, family comes first. So right now I'm just waiting for parts to hook up the power and also to clean out the loop and all that, which comes, I think, tomorrow. So actually, so when I get better and all that, I'll come back and, like I said, do the things, fix the settings and change how it connects only when the game things. But yeah, I just need to take care of myself more, and I guess, and family first. But that's it. So hopefully that kind of explains things. Bye.